we are delighted to have virtual and in-person guests this afternoon. I can't tell you how great it is to see all of your smiling faces. A little housekeeping. Given the COVID protocols for those here in person, please remain at the table until you're signaled by the staff to go to the buffet and get your lunch. Also remember to leave your masks on as much as possible, even at the tables, if you can. We just want to take it, since this is our first hybrid, we just want to be on the precaution side except when you're eating lunch. Another little housekeeping, we are going to have a few prizes today. The first one, Kathleen Sanger. Is Kathleen here? Hi. Absolutely. It is $125 in a piggy bank that was donated by First Resource, so thank you very much. I'm Judy Bell, this year's board chair. And as we reflect on our accomplishments over the last 25 years, a quarter century, we are boldly moving forward to continue the legacy of funding for women and girls in our county. The legacy of this nonprofit who uplift and empower women and girls to tackle the issues we see today in our community and advocating for an inclusive and equitable future for all. It has been a long year and so wonderful to finally get to see so many friends here today, both longtime supporters and some newcomers. And a shout out to those virtually. So glad that you can be with us no matter where you are. Who knows, this may become a new part of our annual event where we have these type of hybrids because we have people that are joining in today from the United Kingdom, California, and even Florida. We are especially pleased to welcome our nonprofit partners and grantees in the audience agencies across the county working to improve the lives of women and girls. Dealing with the impact of COVID, they've been stalwart in purpose and creative in addressing the many challenges. We call you Sheroes. We'd also like to welcome young women attending the Fund's Girls Advisory Board and Girls Gov programs, both current members and alumni. This past year, we had 40 young women go through those two programs. And I do want to give a shout out to Maeve Kelly, our communications and program associate, who she didn't miss a beat. Those 40 young women went through those two amazing programs, so thank you to Maeve. These events are not possible without our sponsors, so very heartfelt thank you to Mrs. Barbara Jordan, West, Penn Medicine, Chester County Hospital, SEI, WISFIS, and Denise Wine and Neil Kinch for being generous leaders and catalysts for change. We also have Ann Favorite, representing West, our Transform sponsor, with this fund message.
My name is Annette Favorite, and I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Human Resource Officer at West Pharmaceutical Services. I want to first thank Michelle Legaspi Sanchez, the Executive Director of the Fund, for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I want to send my warmest congratulations to the Fund for Women and Girls as you celebrate your 25th anniversary. What an incredible milestone. Through these 25 years, your organization has made a difference in the lives of countless women and girls, igniting a change that has made Chester County a better place to live and work. As another Chester County organization, West is honored to sponsor this event and partner with the fund to ensure that local women and girls have the opportunities and the resources to thrive. We are a trusted partner to established and emerging drug developers to help ensure the safe and effective containment and delivery of injectable medicines for patients. None of our accomplishments throughout our more than 95 years in business would have been possible without the contributions and the dedication of our female scientists, engineers, marketers, and many more. West has a long-standing commitment to building a diverse, inclusive, and equitable workforce. I'm proud to report today that 3 of the 10 members of our leadership team are women, with 5 out of the 10 members being either a woman or a person of color. We recognize that there is still room for improvement, and we are working on a number of initiatives in this area. We are honored to stand by the side of the fund in our shared mission to provide valuable opportunities to women and girls and to foster an inclusive environment where female voices are heard and amplified. West looks forward to continuing our partnership for many more years to come. Thank you.
These events are also a success because of the hardworking staff. So I would like to thank our board staff under Michelle's leadership for pulling this thing together, along with the luncheon committee led by Allie Kuczynski. Is Allie? I missed Allie. Well, she's virtual. Thank you to all of you to put this together, as well as our virtual event for this year. As board chair for the past 2 years and a volunteer for almost 10, I can't believe it just flew by. Making a difference for women and girls is really the heart of what this organization does. Since this is my last lunch as a board chair, Michelle asked me to reflect as chair and what inspired me to work at the fund. 2 things. The impact of this organization has made on the community, for me, is very visual. We have over $3.5 million in 25 years given out to over 80 nonprofits in this community, improving health and well-being, economic freedom, economic security, and self-sufficiency. The Girls Advisory and Girls Gov, 180 women have gone through that program. And now they're out there in the world and making a difference. And they're actually coming back. And when they come back to the fund. We have many now that are serving on the board of directors, including Allie, who is our luncheon chair. Truly amazing and a visual. The second takeaway for me really has been working with the staff and the board of directors, volunteers, and of course our financial supporters. Especially during this term, this last year, I think about the grantees. A year ago, we're like, what the heck? How are we going to get through this? What is this going to do to us? But we did know that the women and girls of our community would need us more than ever. The staff, donors, board, volunteers proved that they put their words into action. They meant what they said and they did it. Walk the talk in heels. An aspiring community mural celebrating women's right to vote, $45,000 in impact grants for COVID relief, voter education, census mobilization, and eviction help. Branding the fund, igniting change in Chester County. And today announcing a planned giving campaign. All this work was completed during a pandemic, and this was all due to the walk the talk, although this year I think we did it in Skechers and not heels. Today is personally special for me. Many years ago, Mary Lou Sterge invited me for a glass of wine after work. Note to self, when Mary Lou invites you for a glass of wine, she means no harm. She asked me to consider joining the fund board. It was a privilege. And today we celebrate her and honor her. With such a successful legacy, I am honored to be part of making history today in Chester County for women and girls. Thank you for your encouragement of this organization, your support, and belief in the bold work that we do and will continue to do. Together, we are igniting change in our community. So now we're going to go ahead and break for lunch. Please consider, as you know, this is our annual fundraiser. It's our largest fundraiser, the luncheon. So please consider an easy text to donate to our annual Making a Difference conference or luncheon. And it's very easy, like even I can do it. With the luncheon to the 484, and you have 10 numbers on there. Oh, and how lovely, they have this nice slide. Hopefully that's going virtual. Yes, thank you. All right, so what we're going to do is, for those joining virtually, we're going to be back live at 12 p.m. Eastern for keynote and program. And I hope, too, those at home can relax, grab something to eat, and hopefully read your virtual program, recognizing Mary Lou, our speaker, Uva, and also our sponsors. Thank you very much. Sorry, just a reminder, they're going to come to the table and call you up, okay? The staff will come for the buffet. Thanks.
My name is Michelle Legaspi Sanchez. I'm the Executive Director of the Fund for Women and Girls. And after such an extended pause of being together, this celebration is long awaited. It's the celebration of many different things. And first, before we go further, celebrating our second raffle winner, who is Jane Arena. And Jane is winning a HuddleCam HD webcam, which was donated by Haverford Systems. Certainly a must-have these days, so Jane will get that to you at the end of the program. Congratulations. Our gathering today is also a reminder and celebration of hope. Yes, there have been incredible challenges and tragedies that plagued our community and country over the last year or so, but just the fact that we are here now, both in person and virtually, is a true testament to science, innovation, and resilience. I'm also thrilled to be celebrating the recognition of Mary Lou Sterge. In a little bit, you'll have the chance to learn why Mary Lou is due this spotlight, but what you won't hear is how great of a cook she is. My family and I have been fortunate enough to be on the receiving end of her wonderful dinners, which she offers and delivers with impeccable timing. When I was home with infants, after tonsillectomies, after ear tube surgeries, when I was on my wit's end during the pandemic working from home, she magically shows up with her food and magically turned all my kids on to roasted vegetables. So Mary Lou lovingly and joyfully shows up and nourishes my family, and that is something she has certainly done for the fund as well as our community as a whole. So thank you, Mary Lou, for everything, and I'm thrilled to have you here today with this honor. And of course, this is a celebration of the fund's 25th anniversary, silver and bold. And I echo Judy's thanks and recognition of our past and present staff, our past and present committee members, board, and all those who have played a role in bringing this organization to such a milestone and in fulfilling our mission to ensure that women and girls have the resources and opportunities to thrive. I also want to thank Commissioners Marian Moskowitz and Josh Maxwell, who are here with us today, and State Senator Carolyn Comita, who could not join us, but she has been a longtime friend of the fund and has sponsored a citation honoring our organization. We are truly proud of how far we've come and are focused on continuing to build that legacy. So in honor of this special occasion, we'd like to share a video created especially for today. "25 years ago, the world was a different place. Back then, the internet was a novelty. Today, we take Zoom calls from our home office. 25 years ago, scientists started mapping the human genome. Today, you can map your own genes. Over the last 25 years, incredible progress has been made, and the fund has been at the forefront of progress for women and girls in Chester County.
25 years ago, our four mothers gathered as colleagues and friends to talk about the changing world around them and the challenges faced by their daughters, neighbors, and communities. They started their own movement to ask the tough questions and lean into the hard conversations as they worked together for a brighter future for women and girls.
25 years ago, women's presence in the U.S. workforce was on the rise. Back then, the fund saw a gap in education and career opportunities for women and invested in programs that would help them advance further and better provide for their families. Today, we push for even more inclusive and diverse workplace practices, like paid family leave and mentoring programs for women, and lift up companies and individuals that rise to the challenge.
25 years ago, Congress passed the Violence Against Women Act back then. The fund made its first grants to the Domestic Violence Center of Chester County and Home of the Sparrow to meet the needs of the moment and provide women with resources and support to heal and get back on their feet. Today, we work with the same nonprofit partners and others to hold elected officials and employers accountable for protecting women from violence at home and at work.
25 years ago, Malala Yousafzai was born. Back then, the fund recognized the power of young women as leaders and developed programs that put power directly into their hands to make decisions, give voice to their passions, and lead in their own communities. Today, we have empowered over 180 young women through the Girls Advisory Board and GirlGov Chester County to lead like Malala.
Now we're facing a tipping point. Recent months trouble our spirits. Over 2 million women left the workforce last year, dropping the rate of working women to the lowest it has been in decades. Women are working from home while balancing virtual classrooms and childcare needs. Families are struggling to stay afloat. Gender-based violence is on the rise across the globe. The fund stepped up by awarding nearly $230,000 in grants to respond to emerging needs in our communities. But that alone is not enough.
These are the moments that matter. The ones when we're tired, when we just need a break. These are the moments that hold promise. We can come together in the fight for gender and racial equity to continue fulfilling our promise made 25 years ago, and to fight for a brighter tomorrow. What will you do? How will you meet this moment and join us to ensure the next 25 years and beyond hold even more promise for women and girls?
What will you do? How will you meet this moment? At the end of the day, each of us hears that voice in our head, what will you do? And we face a decision point. In recent days, it seems there's a lot of talk and noise with so much going on in our world, but we all face that space. On a very personal level, that brink of deciding what we will do in the face of adversity, or what will we do when the opportunity to create change or make an impact is before us. It's the soul searching that we must do and reflecting about how we will use who we are and what we have to be bold and push forward. Mary Lou and our former kitchen table honorees who are here with us today, Susan and Cheryl and Pat who's watching virtually and the others and just so many of you, as I look around, are amazing examples of those who practice this. Malala, who we saw in the video, is another one of my favorite examples of someone who rose to meet the moment. A few summers ago, I used our car rides back and forth to softball games, camp, or family trips to listen to Malala's book with my daughters. I'm sure most of you are all aware of Malala's story. She's a young woman from Pakistan who was unafraid to speak out about the girls' right to an education. And this made her a target, and at the age of 15, she was shot. She recovered, and it only made her stronger as an advocate. Looking back, our daughters may have been a bit on the young side at the time. My two oldest were 9 and 6. But as a parent, I desperately wanted them to hear Malala's thought process on why she believed strongly enough to fight, even when it almost cost her her life. My hope was that my girls would be inspired, emboldened, and guided when confronted with the question, what will you do? And we, as an organization, strive for the same when it comes to the fund. When it comes to our award-winning girls programs, the Girls Advisory Board and GirlGov Chester County, we're educating them about philanthropy, advocacy, and civic engagement to equip them to lead both now and in their future. And we're exposing them to so many possibilities to create change and guiding them when they are at their own decision points in their lives. Here's just one of my favorite examples of that from this year. This year, the Girls Advisory Board granted out $19,000 to 5 local organizations, which they selected based on the most critical needs that they identified in our community. And one of these grants was made to the Domestic Violence Center to support understanding racial equity training in order to help DVC staff better understand how racial inequities affect their clients and how they can provide services focused on empowerment and healing for marginalized populations. So I love this grant in particular because to me it's a reminder of how the unique synergy that comes about to meet the moment. And that's what we do at the fund. Both the Young Women in GAB and the Domestic Violence Center keenly keyed on how cultural incompetence can seep into even well-intentioned services, and they both did what they could to respond from their vantage points. And through our grant making across all our grant programs, we are investing in local organizations who share the vision of creating a brighter, safer, and healthier future for women and girls. Our grantee partners face challenging choices each and every day in their work at the ground level, and we seek to support them in their work through partnership beyond the check. And through our advocacy, education, and our role as a convener, we've continued to work to ensure the needs of women and girls are represented at decision-making tables, so that when our elected officials and our business and our community leaders are creating policies and programs, they're able to respond with more equitable solutions. And a choice to start the fund made 25 years ago has led us to now. And I'm sure it didn't seem like a big dramatic choice for our foremothers, but rather a commitment and small daily decisions along the way to affirm their pledge. And that's what it takes, being even just a little bit bold, stepping out of our comfort zone in our personal choices, and committing to sometimes difficult decisions to put us all on a path towards bigger impact. So I ask, how are you going to stick your neck out to fight for someone that has it harder than you? What will you do? I'm now happy to introduce our keynote speaker, Uva Coles. When we were thinking about a keynote who fit our theme of silver and bold, Uva is among the first to come to mind. First, she has over 25 years of experience in developing inclusive workforce solutions to address organizational needs in an ever-evolving global landscape. And Uva was bold enough to launch her firm in August 2020, which is, of course, amidst COVID, to address the quote-unquote triple pandemic of healthcare, race, and social equity currently impacting business practices. In one article, she was quoted as saying, "I could wait to transition to do this work more fully as I initially envisioned later in my career, or I could accelerate my transition and rise to meet the moment." Uva's been honored with several awards and has been a featured speaker to many audiences, and I think why that is will be clear to you in just a minute. Some of her honors include Mainline Today's 2020 Power Women Award, the 2019 Aldea News Hispanic Heritage Award, and the 2018 Social Innovations Award, just to name a few. So I am so pleased to have Uva here with us today, so please join me in welcoming her to the Making a Difference Luncheon.
I love technology. It takes a second. There we go. So I was just excited that my heels didn't get caught in the little divots. That would not have been a good way to start. But thank you, Michelle, for that very warm introduction. Muchas gracias por la introducción y muchas buenas tardes a todos. It is truly a pleasure to be with all of you today. For those joining us remotely, thank you for being with us as well. We may not be able to see you, but I do want you to know that we can feel your energy. Now, for those of you who are here with us, we're so excited. Raise your hand if this is the first large event that you've been to, or one of the first large events you've been to since, okay, most of us, right? Most of us. All right, so that's probably why you're smiling so well, and you're probably a little bit confused about what to do when you run into each other. Do we rub elbows? Do we hug? It's hard, right, as we make this transition. But I'm excited that you are all here. So welcome back into the world to wearing clothes again and switching from your sneakers to your heels and saying goodbye to your yoga pants and starting to social distance from your relationship with your refrigerator. Might be just me, I'm projecting, but if this is you, just know that you are not alone. We are in this together. This is my very first time out in well over a year as well, and I'm so thankful that I get to do so to celebrate an organization that centers girls' and women's lives inclusively. No matter our ages, our socioeconomics, our race, our sexual orientation, the lilt in our respective accents, nuestro primer lenguaje, our first language, our diverse life experiences. I'm so thankful that despite the challenges of over the last year and a half, if we are here, in spite of the things we've lost, the people we may have lost, the unmatched pain of this time, I am thankful that we are here. I'm thankful that we have persevered, and I am hopeful that we are moving toward better together. And speaking of that spirit of perseverance and of moving toward better, I want to talk a little bit about just that, about how that perseverance is part of what brings us here today as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the fund, most certainly, but also what has powered the fund's work since the very beginning and what remains, in my mind, ever present in this room, both virtually and in person, which in my mind becomes the power of a woman's bold vision. Now, Webster, I spent a lot of time in higher ed, so I always have to go to who defined this, how did we define this? We have to get crystal clear about things. Webster defines vision, la visión, as having the ability to see, as having unusual discernment or foresight, as the act or power of imagination. When I think about that, and then I overlay womanhood with the word vision, the definition evolves, as things often do when you add women into the mix, right? I think we can all agree in this room that a woman's mind is so powerful that at times what stands directly in front of us can be amplified, can be made even greater when powered by our resilience, our intuition, our determination and imagination. That's the power of a woman's bold vision, la visión audaz de la mujer. So to get us started, I want to share a little bit of a story with you about a woman that in my mind embodies the kind of bold vision that we're talking about today. Her name was Thelma Julian, or Thelma Julian. I'm originally from Panama. And so Spanish is my first language. We'll talk about that a little bit. So you'll see me kind of toggle between languages. Thelma Julian this was in the 60s, mid-60s or so. And it was the first day of school for 6 of her children. It was fast approaching. She was excited about this new day and constantly told them, la educación es la única cosa que nadie te puede quitar. Education is the one thing no one can ever take away from you. Raise your hand if you've heard something like that before, right? We've heard that. She was unable to finish a formal education, was born into a most modest life that forced her to leave school and begin working at a very early age, but still she was brilliant, had taught herself to read and write and speak 2 languages, and eventually even learned to pen poetry. She was bilingual and bicultural and courageous and simply bold. Her superpower was her bold vision. Su poder era su visión audaz. So this particular year, despite her best efforts, she was unable to provide her children with all of the school essentials they needed, so she worried, managed to scrape together a few new pens and old resharpened pencils. She repurposed hand-me-down shoes from the oldest children and rendered them almost new for the younger kids. She unhemmed skirts and pants to lengthen them and buy another year's wear. But all children's white shirt, this was the challenge. They'd yellowed with wear. They needed new uniform shirts. Her superpower was her bold vision. Su poder era su visión audaz. One day, just as her body and her lungs and her heart threatened to break with worry, she scanned her 1-bedroom apartment with new eyes, and they settled on her bed. Only this time, she didn't see a headboard or blankets or pillows or fitted sheets. She could no longer see what stood directly in front of her. Instead, she saw what could be. And for the next few days, she hovered over a sewing machine, back bent with unequivocal resolve, fingers threading needles, mind powered by her unequivocal resolve. And out of a few white bed sheets, she made uniform shirts for her 6 children. If you could repeat after me, her superpower was her bold vision. Let's say it one more time. Her superpower was her bold vision. Su poder fue su visión audaz. We'll come back to Thelma a little bit later, but for now, suffice it to say that I believe she exemplifies a woman's vision. And it's precisely that kind of vision that brings us here today. 25 years ago, Barbara Jordan, the fund's founder, and her partner, Heather McPherson, channeled that type of vision. Already making remarkable impact, they looked around and understood at a visceral level the way women do, that the specific needs of girls and women in Chester County often stood at the periphery, stood quietly and unmet at the sidelines of work being deliberately done. And they decided that what girls and women needed, what they deserved, was focused attention and elevation away from the edges of stories and movement into unapologetic centrality and centeredness. Barbara and Heather convened a group of other like-minded women, other visionaries, and together they honed in with laser focus on women. Where others believed that enough was being done, they believed more could be done, more should be done. And together, they envisioned something greater and gave birth to the fund. Their superpower was their vision. Say it with me, their superpower was their vision. Su poder fue su visión audaz. Today, that vision has evolved and amplified to accommodate the diverse needs of Chester County's girls and women. Today, the fund's impact is built and felt through data-driven advocacy and education and grant-making that now boasts over 2 decades of remarkable impacts. The fund has made investments in local nonprofits that improve the lives of women through economic empowerment and health and education and personal safety. Through their grants allocation committee, they've invited community residents to participate in grant-making process from inception to distribution of funding. And in the last year, Michelle talked about this a little bit, the fund has made an intentional decision to commit all impact grants to address emerging COVID-based needs. But they didn't stop there. Women never do. They centered girls too, shifting their girls' program to a virtual modality that ensured the kind of consistency our young girls especially need, especially relied on at a time when the world around them and around us has become widely inconsistent. Last year, when the pandemic further destabilized childcare, the fund partnered with fellow funders and with the county and advocated for childcare supports, resulting in a $15 million allocation of CARES funding from the county. In my mind, that's bold vision. But here's the thing. As a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist, what I admire most about the fund's work is that they consistently strive to have a vision that is ever evolving into further inclusion. From partnering with Westchester University's Center for Trans and Queer Advocacy to offer LGBTQA workshops, to inviting men like Tim, who I know had to step out for a second, but not too many men in the room. He's a bold man. We're excited that he's here. Inviting men, our critical allies, to work with them, to building a girls' advisory board, some of them here today, for young women, and helping them understand issues of poverty and domestic violence and mental health. The fund's mission continues to crystallize, continues to grow. And this matters deeply in this moment as COVID-19 impacts have built stronger walls of exclusion and widened existing gender gaps. Let me talk a little bit about those gaps. A recent Accenture study reminds us that pre-COVID, women experienced a 24% gender pay gap. But since the pandemic, women's earnings have fallen 63% faster than men's. According to a Catalyst report in September of 2020, in the US alone, 865 women left the workforce. That's 4 times as many women as men. It's called the She Session. Women leaving the workforce, often to take care of their children. And because women are overrepresented in jobs now deemed essential, especially in the services industry, we are experiencing disproportionate impacts. And of course, there's this issue of intersectionality. Think about intersectionality as a crossroads where gender and other dimensions of our identity, like our race, cross paths. This intersection is made more challenging by implicit bias and systemic racism. By August of last year, Black women had only recovered 34% of pre-pandemic jobs compared to the 61% of jobs recovered by white women. As of September of 2020, the unemployment rate of Black and Latina women were roughly at 11%, which is more than twice as high as prior to the pandemic, according to another Catalyst report. I know, when we hear these stats, it can be a little bit scary and daunting, but here is the good news. There is always good news. We're making progress. And we'll continue to take forward steps as long as we do so holistically and in lockstep with each other. Our progress must be intersectional, it must be equitable, leaving no woman, no girl behind. And this requires a most bold vision. The kind of vision the fund has demonstrated over the last 25 years and the kind of inclusive vision it plans to demonstrate in the next 25 and 50 and 100, and we may not be here to celebrate then, but we'll cheer them on from now. They are already on their way. In their next strategic plan and signature blueprint report, the fund will center equity in its work in order to lift the voices of all women, including marginalized women and women of color, girls and our rich intersections, with focused attention. Say it with me, their superpower will be their bold vision. Su poder será su visión audaz. I started earlier by sharing that this is my first large gathering since COVID. Tomorrow is my next one. With our elders vaccinated, we will be celebrating Mother's Day with my mother and her sisters and our families. And I know, just like I know that we'll toggle between English and Spanglish, because that's just what my family does. Así lo hacemos, ¿no? That's what we'll do. At some point in that conversation, we will transition. We will talk about my grandmother, Thelma Julian. Thelma, who, when faced with the dire possibility of not sending her children to school because she simply didn't have the required uniforms, she made shirts out of bed sheets with nothing but a sewing machine and threading and determination and a bold vision. That bold vision was instrumental in helping her raise 10 children who are now teachers and judges and doctors and customer service representatives and nurses and lawyers and frontline workers who reside between my native country of Panama and the US. A few of them right here in Chester County, where many in our immigrant community have made a home. They're all good human beings who inherited my grandmother's heart and her willfulness and her bold vision. Her love for heels too, but that's a different story. I know that tomorrow I will be able to tell my family about today and about the women of bold vision who I've learned about through the fund's work. Women like the fund's founding members, Barbara Jordan and Heather McPherson, and the other women they convened, like board chair Judy Bell, who I had a lovely conversation with earlier. To know her is to know that you shouldn't do lunch with her either, because I think there are a lot of opportunities there that she'll come up with. And her mighty team of board members, like Executive Director Michelle Legaspi Sanchez and her incredible staff of women and their partner allies, like this year's Kitchen Table awardee, Mary Lou Sterge, who's quiet, behind-the-scenes leadership is a force to be reckoned with. To stand next to her is to feel that energy. You will learn about her bold vision shortly. And community-based members and leaders and those who power Black Women of Chester County and Action Alliance, women like Cheryl Miles, who's in that corner, I believe, and Judy Spangler and Chaya Scott and Joyce Chester, and all women with relentless vision who, when faced with adversity, much like my grandmother, rise to meet the moment. They stand as reminders of the kind of bold vision that has fueled the fund for 25 years, and this is what brings us here today. So one last time, I want you to repeat it after me. Tenemos visión. We'll do it one more time for the people in the back. Tenemos visión. One last time. Tenemos visión. We women, we have vision. Webster, as I said earlier, defines vision as the power of seeing, of having unusual discernment or foresight the actor power of imagination, a manifestation to the senses of something that is immaterial, meaning our mind is so powerful that what may stand directly in front of us can be made greater when powered by our indomitable will and imagination. We make shirts out of sheets. We see the unseen. We center and lift other women when we believe they are not centered and lifted enough. Nuestro poder es la visión audaz. Our collective superpower is, and it has always been, our bold vision. This is the energy in this room today. It's what happens when women get together and harness our collective vision. It is what stands beneath our feet, whether heeled or in sneakers. It is what strengthens our spines and helps us stand stronger. It is what fills our lungs and powers our walk. It is in the DNA, in the very marrow of the Fund for Women and Girls. Congratulations to the Fund for 25 years of harnessing that women-led energy, that silver and bold vision. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Uva. It was a pleasure. And yeah, you're right. I'll be calling you. So my high school Spanish for 2 years was coming back to me, and nothing. But that was beautiful. Thank you so much. It is now my honor to introduce the Kitchen Table Award, which was established to honor an outstanding Chester County woman who has demonstrated leadership and made substantive contributions through service and through philanthropy and to improve our community. And definitely a bold woman we have to celebrate today. I would like to recognize, as Michelle did as well, Susan Elko. Susan, I believe there she is. Susan was a few years ago one of our Kitchen Table Awards, and so happy to see you here today. Also, Cheryl Miles. Cheryl is in the back here. She was 2 years ago. Thank you for being here today, Cheryl, as well. And Pat Yoder, last year's Kitchen Table Awardee, is joining us virtually. So next year, Pat, you need to be in the room so we can give you a big hug. So at this time, I would, if you could, welcome Mary Lou up to the podium. Sorry, we're new at this virtual hybrid thing. Have a seat, Mary Lou. We'll be right with you. We're going to play a short video. Thank you.
The Fund for Women and Girls established the Kitchen Table Award 10 years ago, in 2011. The award is intended to honor a local woman who has made significant contributions through philanthropy and/or service to the needs of women and girls in Chester County. The award is called the Kitchen Table Award because of the origin of our organization. It was conversations around the kitchen table, around coffee tables, talking about the needs that women and girls were experiencing that was evident in the lives of their daughters, themselves, their neighbors, their friends. Our foremothers turned dialogue into action. And that is why this year I am so pleased that we will be honoring Mary Lou Sterge with the Kitchen Table Award. When I first came to the fund, Mary Lou was serving as board chair. And so I've had the first-hand experience of seeing how amazing she is and how she is so willing to turn dialogue into action and roll up her sleeves to serve the needs of women and girls in Chester County.
I met Mary Lou in 2012. She became a board member of the Colonial Theater, and I was on the board. And I was just thrilled to have somebody with her talents join us. But more importantly, for the Fund for Women and Girls, she was instrumental in being a part of structuring the Girls Advisory Board, which was really important to help girls become leaders in the community. leaders forever. And so that's our future, right? Training these girls how to become leaders and stepping up to the plate. And Mary Lou is really good at that because she does it herself.
Mary Lou served as board chair following my service as board chair, and she came on at a very sort of turbulent time. The economy was difficult, and she really managed to guide the fund through those days. I think that was one of her greatest impacts to the fund, besides the fact that she's just a relentless supporter of the mission. She's very well known in the Philadelphia area for her philanthropic work. She serves on a number of nonprofit boards, and a lot of it is directed at impacting the lives of women and girls.
So Mary Lou she really embodies this quiet strength and impact. So I feel like people meet her and they immediately know that she is so kind and warm and caring, but they don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. So she is really the force behind so much of what the fund does on a strategic level, on a philanthropic level, but she's also just there in the day-to-day, making sure that things happen, whether it's set up or take down or greeting people or just being a mentor to all the girls that are part of the GAB board every year. I think she just truly embodies what the fund seeks to be in Chester County, which is just this loving and stable place of impact.
What makes my mom so special? Everything. I think the amount she cares. She cares about everyone and everything to what feels like a very equal amount. She wants everyone to feel like they matter, and I think she succeeds. I think she just stands out as someone who gives so much of herself to making others feel important, deserved, and loved.
I think Mary Lou really deserves this recognition as the Kitchen Table Award winner. She is the kind of person that rolls up her sleeves. She just doesn't talk about great ideas. She helps execute them.
Wherever you turn, Mary Lou has a handprint on a new project, and she's so deserving. She just gives her heart and soul every day to things like this and things that are important to our community.
My mother stands out as someone who is always willing to put in the time, the effort, and energy to really make things happen.
I don't know. I want her to bottle it up and sell it. I think it's just her kindness and her strength. It's hard to say just one thing.
To Mary Lou personally, I would like to say thanks for your friendship. Thanks for inspiring me for the last 15 years as a friend, as a colleague, as a partner in crime at the fund, and I'm very glad you're winning this award.
Mary Lou, thank you so much for the impact that you've had on me personally and our community. You set the standard for me when I was very young about what it means to be a woman of impact and a woman of character.
Mom, I am so proud of you, and I love you. I hope I'm there with you today.
Mary Lou, I just want to say how honored I am to know you and how grateful I am to the Fund for Women and Girls for giving you this very special honor and award this year.
Mary Lou, you are clearly dear to so many, and to me, you are a friend, you are an inspiration, you are a mentor, and you never cease to amaze me with your kindness and good-hearted nature. I congratulate you, and I thank you for being who you are.
All right, now Mary Lou. And Kate Sennett. Kate is Mary Lou's nominator, friend and colleague. On behalf of the board and the fund.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm a potter. Thank you. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. I am going to thank you. Wow, that was a tough one because Michelle told me to bring Kleenex. And I was doing great until sweet Katie Henry came on. She was in our first GAB class, and I know we made a big difference in her life. And she's now a doctor in Exton, so she's an amazing young woman. And my little girl, who I called this morning, 9:30 my time, 6:30 in Los Angeles, and woke her up and said, "What shoes should I wear?" She's a fashion designer. She didn't really like me then. "Mom, you woke me up." But she told me what shoes to wear, so I'm good. They're green. So, Michelle and Judy called me in February. Phone rings. I don't know what I'm doing. I pick it up. It's Michelle. I talk to Michelle regularly because we're buds. And she said, "Hold on." And then Judy was there, and they told me I had won this award, the Kitchen Table Award. And I was like, what? Are you crazy? Come on, I know who wins that award. I have chosen who wins that award when I was board chair. And, Barbara Jordan, Betty Moran, Cheryl Mills, Carol Metzner, Susan Elko, they win that award. I'm a behind-the-scenes person. And they're like, no, you won. You won. It took me a while to kind of process, and I don't know if I had quite as big a reaction as they may have wanted, because I was sort of in shock. But I do know that remarkable women come and do remarkable things in Chester County. And I'm so thrilled that we get to honor them. And I am thrilled to be part of those that get honored. It's really kind of takes my breath away. Marian Moskowitz, who is amazing. How nice, I don't see you. I know you're here, we've talked, but thank you. Kate and I were chair and vice chair when Heidi, our longtime executive director, left. Hello, Heidi, I hear you're watching virtually. And it was just a whole big time because that was hard. She was our only executive director. And then I am going to say that the best thing I ever did for the Fund for Women and Girls, igniting change in Chester County, is to hire Michelle Legaspi Sanchez. She truly is bold, and I'm so happy to be bold with her. I learned about the fund forever ago when a neighbor of mine, Sarah Peck, an early board member, invited me to a cultivation event. And at that cultivation event, Heidi McPherson and Barbara Jordan were there, and they were talking about the fact that they had started this organization and that they had already given grants away. And I was like, wow, that is so cool, this brand new organization. They're already granting out. And I was just taken with that. And I was already very well aware from my parents and what they modeled, and my family, what being a volunteer was like. And I came from a really great family, and really, like, we were upper middle class. I'm trying to think. My dad was a very hard worker, my mom a very hard worker, but they instilled in us the importance of giving back and doing for your community. My dad had a whole second act as setting up housing for people with developmental disabilities, and my mom was busy raising money for STEM scholarships long before anyone knew what STEM was. My mom is here. She's 93. My sister is also here. She's also unbelievably amazing and fabulous, just like the rest of my brothers and sisters. I have done all my work in Chester County as a volunteer, and I have learned that organizations depend so strongly on volunteers and what those volunteers can bring to their organization. Because without them, those organizations can't do what they do. They just don't have enough hours in the day. They don't have enough budget to hire more people. They have these bold visions, but they can't put those visions completely into action without volunteers coming in and helping out. I recently do some work for the barn at Springbrook Farm, and they do animal-assisted therapy for children with significant developmental disabilities. And they were having a wine tasting, a virtual wine tasting. So I did some mailing stuff for them, but what I did, that everyone who you go to their house, you walk up to their door, I delivered wine. Knock on their door, here's your wine. They love you. Love you. It took me 2 hours to deliver the wine, 2 hours of people loving me. Oh, she's got wine. What could be bad? So it was good. It was good. And but the other thing that has been what I have learned from volunteering is, especially with the young women in the Girls Advisory Board, which I was early on that with Susan Elko, Betsy Lignini, Celia Lang, and I feel like I'm leaving somebody out, but somebody, oh, and Heidi, of course, Heidi. And we were putting together this Girls Advisory Board, and I remember going on our first site visit with the girls to Home of the Sparrow, and all those girls just in awe of what this organization did, and what they, and you would just see that time and time again going on these site visits, and the girls just, oh my gosh, the things that are going on in Chester County. And I would take from that, because that made me feel good. I think it made the organizations feel good. It was just a big boost to be able to go on those site visits with the girls, and just to know that what you were doing as a volunteer, be it at the Colonial Theater when we were doing our capital campaign, and we had these big popcorn things outside and I remember, like, I don't know what we were doing, but somehow these big popcorn things, and I'm there with the popcorn, and go and doing work with Home of the Sparrow and Maternal and Child Health Consortium, doing their tea party every year. Just what you were doing helped that organization do so much more so that they could fulfill their mission. And that is what makes volunteering so important and so worth your time, and something that if you have the ability to do it and to give back like that, it's certainly worth it. So I decided I was worthy of the Kitchen Table Award. And along the way, I have to say, I had some really great mentors, and I'm going to point out one of my favorite ones right over here in pink, Pam, my good friend Pam, Susan Elko, Kate, Jo Ellen back there, my friend Jane, her nursing love and compassion has taught me much. My friends Margie and Tess over there. Tess just graduated from University of Michigan with a master's in environmental studies, and I want you all to know I now use laundry detergent that's just a little sheet. I like the thing, I don't have a baggie in the house, I don't have saran wrap, I have all these beeswax, thank you, Tess. And, and my good friend Fran, who all came to support me, and I really so appreciate it, and I so appreciate that you all thought so highly of me at the fund to give me this award. I love you all dearly. I love the fund, and thank you. It's really, really such an honor.
Okay, no one talked about Mary Lou's witty sense of humor, but when you have the pleasure of sitting next to her at a table, regardless, board, executive, committee, or lunch table, there's definitely laughs. She's great. Thank you, Mary Lou. We are so proud to offer you this award today and to recognize you. Thank you so much. Okay, I have here smile. So that's, when you speak, you forget to smile. I am Denise Wine. I am the co-chair, also known as Judy Bell's wing lady. So whatever she tells me to do, I do. And today I'm closing the ceremonies. With that, I do have a big favor to ask of everybody. You can hear me, right? And that is to support the fund. So let me tell you a little bit about our past 25 years. We've witnessed the transformative power of philanthropy, advocacy, and leadership in the women and girls whose lives we've touched. We have seen the investment in women and girls make differences in our communities and make our community stronger. Someone once said to me, when you change the life of a woman or a girl, you change the life of her family, and you change that for generations to come. And I sincerely believe that to be the truth. Today, we invite all of you to be part of our next 25 years as we build the legacy of the region's leading Women and Girls Initiative and help us ignite Chester County change. We recently changed our marketing, and Judy alluded to it. So we ask you all, what are you going to do to help us ignite change in Chester County? We're asking you to join us to help in the fight for gender and racial equity, uplifting and empowering all women and girls to reach their fullest potential. And here's a few options that all of you can consider in making the investment in our collective future. You could provide a monthly sustaining gift. We'll take any amount. You're welcome to give a one-time contribution, a lifetime gift, or we have an inaugural legacy program that Judy had mentioned earlier. If you leave a legacy gift, it helps provide the fund in perpetuity, and you can do that through your estate planning. As chair of the Visionaries at the Table Legacy Circle, I'd like to thank the other inaugural members who've joined me to ensure the long-term sustainability of the fund and the fund's mission. So it's important for your support. We appreciate it. We need it. And I'd like to point out that COVID-19, which has been mentioned many times today, by the way, it's so great to see everybody. It's more than a disease. It's affected our communities socially, physically, economically. And we at the fund are going to do something about that. This year, our blueprint report comes out. We do it every 5 years. That blueprint report is our opportunity to dig into the community and find out what's happening with women and girls. And with that report, many of our nonprofit friends here use the data to help provide grants for the missions that they are involved with. It's also used regionally. The data is used regionally, state, and nationwide. So we ask again, kindly, for your support today, and let me give you a couple ways in which you can provide that support. For our virtual friends, you can text with your mobile phone the word luncheon, and all of you here today with your mobile phone, text the word luncheon to 484-839. 0633. And for those of you at home, I think you can see it on the screen and here virtually. And those of you who are with us on the table, there are pens and there are Post-its that you can fill out. And feel free, you can donate today, you can pledge, or you can just sign up. Give us your name, email address, and as you leave today, if you wouldn't mind dropping it off at the registration table, that would be fantastic. We will be happy to update you with plans and programs that we have to offer at the fund and any questions you might have about us. Second raffle item, or third it might be, another piggy bank stuffed with $125 cash donated by First Resource Bank goes to Marjorie Fields. Marjorie's at our table over there. And I guess that means drinks on Marjorie this afternoon, so hit her up, she's got cash. Okay, and then we invite all of you to join us for coffee and dessert inside. And we will be there to answer any questions. We have many board members here today. We have purple indications on our name badge, so feel free to ask us any questions about the fund. With that, I'd like to thank our staff. It is the little engine that could, headed by Michelle, Brandon, Maeve is here, Dana, thank you all very much. And our luncheon committee, Allie, Patty, thank you very much for being here and putting all this together today. And on behalf of the board, we'd like to thank all of you. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you next year, maybe doubled in size. And we wish you a lovely day. And finally, we are grateful. What will you do? Thank you.